All right, listen up, y'all. I'm y'all substitute teacher, Mr. Garvey. I taught school for 20 years in the inner city, so don't even think about messing with me. Y'all feel me? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take a roll here. Jay Quellen. Where's Jay Quellen at? No Jay Quellen here? Yeah.
Do you mean Jacqueline?
Okay, so that's how it's gonna be. Y'all wanna play. Okay, then. I've got my eye on you, Jay Quellen. Balake. Where is Balake at? There's no Balake here today. Yes, sir.
My name's Blake.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Blake?
What? Do you want to go to war, Balake?
No.
Because we could go to war.
No.
I'm for real. I'm for real. So you better check yourself. D nice. Is there a D nice? If one of y'all says some silly ass name, this whole class is gonna feel my wrath. Now, D nice.
Do you mean Denise?
Son of a bitch! You say your name right now.
Denise?
Say it right.
Denise.
Correctly.
Denise.
Right.
Denise.
Right.
D-nice.
That's better. Thank you. Now, Aaron, where are you? Where is Aaron right now? No Aaron, huh? Well, you better be sick, dead, or mute, Aaron.
Here? Oh, man.
Why didn't you answer me the first time I said it, huh?
Huh?
I'm just asking, I said it like 4 times, so why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
Son of a bitch! You done messed up, Aaron! Now take your ass on down to Oshag Hennessy's office right now and tell him exactly what you did.
Who?
Oshag Hennessy!
Principal O'Shaughnessy?
Get out of my goddamn classroom before I break my foot off in your ass! Insubordinate and churlish. Timothy.
Present.
Thank you.
What's up, good people of the Purple Rube Fantasy Football League? I know I slacked a little bit on the Week 7 recap, but I'll cover a couple tidbits, highlights, interesting little activities that took place last weekend. We definitely had some movement in the standings, but I'll go over that after I talk about the big news. Big highlight. The thing that rocked the NFL to its core last week. The fragile collarbone of one Aaron in Green Bay. Every Packers fan thinks it was the worst hit in the world, the dirtiest, cheapest of cheap shots. And that's coming from a team who saw one of their own players get decapitated by a Bears linebacker, and they still want to call this the dirtiest thing ever because of the result. The hit was on a quarterback who was out of the pocket, had released the ball, but back in my day, and still kind of the way it is if you can get there in 2 steps, you can give a little contact, and Barr did not drive Rodgers to the ground. It was a standard tumbling tackle. You make contact, do the tackle, roll around, get up. The only problem was the result, in which Aaron got up with an owie. So, in conclusion to this momentous, season-changing football issue that everyone's up in arms about, ultimately comes down to it's not as clean as the Vikings players and fans claim it is, and it's not as bad or as dirty as the Green Bay Packers fans claim it is. It lives in that normal, incidental contact, average football activity. I'm sorry. That being said, Aaron going down is going to be bad for Troy. He posted 43 points last week in what was the lowest score of the year, partially due to the fact that Mr. Rodgers got no points. So he took a big loss. It's going to be tough for him to stay on the standings. Kind of go like this. Levi holding down number 1. Mr. Harbacek is up from 4 to number 2, which pushes Troy and Matt down each 1 spot. Then there's me, number 5, up from 8, which also pushes Ray and Carl down 1 spot. Then at 8, we've got Sarah, who's up from 10. We've got Mark at the number 9 spot. He is down from number 7. Then we've got the other Mark, Mr. Potter, who has moved his way up from 12 to 10 nicely. We've got Emily, who's dropped down a little bit. She's at 11, formerly 9. Josh Martin managed to scoop himself up from dead last and get to 12. He may have already done some trash talking about how he's going to keep moving up this week, but we'll see. Mike Radloff, he's holding it down steady at number 13. And Paul Wall is down from 11 to number 14. Sorry, Paul. But Paul, I know, is eager to trade. He's willing to change his lot in life because he has made me an offer. Impacting the ranks were a couple notable games, mainly me beating the brakes off my little brother, getting the second most points in the league. Eric jumped to number 2 by putting up the most points scored this week on his wife. Some husbands have no shame, and I think thou shalt sleep on the couch should be a reasonable punishment. Emily, if you want to post a picture of him or send me a picture of him sleeping on the couch, I will gladly post it into one of these videos, or anything else you would like me to do to shame him, because I need Mr. Harbacek to also. Now we move on to week 7. We got a lot going on here. We had a pretty good Thursday night game, lots of points scored. And a high-scoring Thursday night could really impact the matchups this week. But first, I want to talk about how terrible Tony Romo's squeaky little voice is. And for all of you Tony Romo defenders, I shall have none of that. He has a squeaky, annoying voice. He may have some insightful football takes, but I can't get past that terrible voice. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. I'd rather Joe Buck. Yes, the terrible Joe Buck at least sounds better than Tony Romo. And also, I don't know about any of you, but I have long hated the Thursday night color rush uniforms, and I just have to get this off my chest because Field Yates of ESPN talked about it on the Fantasy Focus Football podcast, how cool the color rush uniforms are and how cool they looked Thursday night. And I will say no, the color rush uniforms are absolute garbage. Garbage. Suck it. Especially that Raiders white silvery color one looked hideous. So young Field Yates, who's renowned as having wonderful style by one Matthew Berry TMR, I don't know what he's thinking. I've long hated the one solid bright colored uniform. I don't know if people remember the Tampa Bay Rams ketchup and mustard game from a couple years back. These color rush uniforms just need to go. I can't imagine they help jersey sales enough to warrant the damage to my eyes and my soul. All right, so as far as these week 7 matchups, I had hinted it. Josh said he's making his comeback. He thinks he's going to do it on me. Yeah, text me his thoughts on he's starting his run this week. Sorry, Josh. I don't think so. We've got a very close Yahoo prediction. It's coming through as a coin toss. Neither one of us took any points from the Thursday night game. So we're coming in this already 0-0. And I think it's going to come down to terrible Tom Brady, the big crybaby, versus Carson Wentz, the young gunslinger. And I'm going to say it right here. Josh needs to pack his lunch because it's going to be a long day at the office. And he's going to go home disappointed. Up next, we've got an enthusiastic Paul versus a damaged and slipping Carl. Carl still hasn't gotten right since that ODB injury. You know, he made some moves. He's trying to get in there, but he hasn't gotten back on the winning track yet. Carl got a big day from Derek Carr, one of the Cars. You know, the one that's still in the league, not the one that does college football, but is still predicted to lose. I'm not wholeheartedly sure that that's going to be the case. Whenever you get like 30 points from your quarterback, it's usually a good start to the week, and Yahoo still thinks Paul's going to win. I think Carl gets right, but I also like to root for the underdog like Paul. I like to see the guys in 14 get out of this 14th spot. Another exciting matchup this week is undefeated Levi in that number 1 spot versus number 4 Matthew Date. Matt got a pretty decent performance from Travis Kelce, but Levi got 14 points from his kicker and had an okay day from Hunt, but not as good as he's had with 15. You know, so Levi's coming in with a good set of points. I think this matchup's going to end up being really close. Obviously, I have to root for Matt. I can't root for Levi until he takes a couple losses and comes a little closer to the pack and makes the league a little more competitive. This one's going to come up to how well their studs do. Each one of these guys has a random throw up a huge ton of points. You know, Bell, Brown, Thompson, all have gone crazy this season. And I think this matchup's going to come down to how they really perform this week. We also have another interesting matchup with the improving Mark Potter versus the number 2 Eric Harbacek. These two Verizon pitchmen are going to go at it to see who can improve their lot in life. Mark has been making progress from his number 14 spot up to number 10. Eric's been grinding his way up to that number 2 spot. And one of these gentlemen's ascent to the top is going to stop. Even though Eric got 23 points from Alex Smith, usually that would make you feel pretty good. But not when you leave 51 points from Amari Cooper on your bench. And that'll be the downfall if he loses this matchup, because it really left the door open for Potter. Yahoo's got this one as another really close game. I think it's going to come down to Hogan versus Freeman on Monday night to see which one of these Verizon pitchmen comes out ahead. The number 3 team, Troy, is going to be hurting against Sarah, who's, up and down each week. Troy really taking a beating after losing Aaron Rodgers, but lucky for him, he still has Drew Brees on his roster, which is really going to come in handy when you're trying to make up some quarterback points. But since Troy's going to have to move Brees out of that flex position into the QB, he's really going to have to shift around his roster, and it might take him a week or two to get that thing sorted out and figure out how he likes it. Sarah came into the Thursday night game predicted to get 10 or 15 points out of her defense, but that shootout led to her only getting 2 points on Thursday night. So if she hopes to win, she's going to really have to dig out of that hole. I think it comes down to whether Drew Brees has a good Drew Brees or a bad Drew Brees game. If he only does 11 points again this week, I think Sarah has a chance to win. If he hits that 20 number, I think Troy's going to take this one. We also have a couple kids from Albert Lee taking each other on. We've got number 6 Ray versus number 11 Emily. Now, Ray's coming into this matchup. He's kind of filling out that speedo pretty well since he got 27 points from Hill, which will be tough for Emily to take. But if her tight end, Michael Bennett, could hold on to a ball or two, she could really get some good points from him. The problem is he drops half the balls he's thrown, so she's not getting any of those glorious PPR points or those yards. The key for Emily, as I've mentioned each week so far, is Leonard Fournette. If he can play through the injury and put up another big game, so as long as Emily's got Fournette, she's always got a shot, but it's going to be tough for her to beat that Nantucket Nad basket. And the game of the week, another brother versus brother matchup. The brothers Radloff from that terrible state that lives underneath Minnesota. You have the elder Radloff trying to climb out of that 13 spot versus baby bro, who's up and down in the ranks each week. Yahoo has this one as another coin toss. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. But Mr. Mike Radloff can't be thrilled that in order to win, he has to rely on a big game from that Minnesota Vikings QB. So even if he does beat his baby bro, Mark, he's going to feel dirty about it because he had to rely on the Vikings to do so. I'm really looking forward to the matchups this week. I think we will see some more good movement in the ranks. And just a reminder, week 8, 6 teams on the bye. It's going to be a little hectic on the waiver wire. Check it with some people on trades. I'm going to be watching Minnesota take on Baltimore this weekend. It's going to be an awesome game. I think the Vikings are going to have a pretty good score. I think my defense is going to do pretty well. I wish you all the best of luck. Have a great week. I'm out.